Welcome. We're just going to let some folks trickle in. We've got so many new slugs in one place. This is exciting. I hope you all are excited to be banana slugs. I mean, seriously, it's the greatest mascot in existence. You can find them on our campus. You can tell how obsessed I am with it. I'm an alumni and this is what's on my desk. So you got to get your banana slug gear for sure. We'll let a couple more folks trickle in and we'll start when we hit 11 a.m. Just I'll mention right now, if you all have questions, we're going to save them towards at the end, and we have the Q&A feature in this Zoom meeting. And we're going to ask that you all use that feature and we'll go through as many questions as we can. All right, and it looks like we're at 11 a.m. so we'll go ahead and officially start. So first of all, welcome everyone. Congratulations on your admission. UC Santa Cruz, I'm biased, but I think it's the best university ever. It's my favorite place on the planet. And, you know, wherever I've vacationed, I still love this campus the most. It's so beautiful, so scenic, so relaxing. And it was the best decision I made. And I'm Paige. I use she, hers pronouns, and I am a very proud UCSC alum of 2021. I actually didn't study psychology. I studied literature and education as a double major. But I thoroughly enjoyed my time there, got to be involved in a lot of different organizations on campus, and really tried to make the most of my time there. And I will always have a lot of pride, and now I get to advise new slugs coming in, and that brings me a lot of joy. And we're here to support you all, and I'm going to hand it over. Well, first of all, I'll mention I'm also one of your psychology undergraduate advisors. That's probably an important piece of information. And I'm going to hand it over to my colleague Ryan to introduce himself.
Thanks, Paige. My name is Ryan, he, him. I am also one of your undergraduate psychology advisors. I am an alum from psychology. I was an intensive major and a transfer student. So I have a history here. I'm familiar with the faculty and the courses, and anything you want, tips and advice and pro tips, whatever, go ahead and ask me. Okay, and pass it to Julia.
Hi, everyone. I'm Julia. I use she, her pronouns. I'm also one of your psychology undergraduate advisors, as well as a UCSC psychology alum. It's good to see you all here, and please reach out to us whenever you have questions.
Fantastic. So we are the trio. We're your psychology undergraduate advising team. Just a little more specificity about what that means for you all as students. We handle everything that has to do with your major per the name. We have 3 different majors: psychology, general psychology, intensive psychology, and cognitive science are in our department, and we serve all students in those majors. Now, anything else, and that includes general education requirements, questions about if you need a leave of absence, if you need to withdraw from a course, anything like that, you're going to go to your residential college advisor. So for example, I was a Stevenson College affiliate, so I would go to my Stevenson advisors for general advising. So it's kind of a 2-tiered advising system. So we will ask today, just for the sake of time, if you have questions about general education requirements, that's going to be a question for your residential college advisors. But we can kind of answer questions generally, but we don't want to spend too much time on that. We really want to focus on what makes our department special today. So let me go ahead and share my screen. We'll see if Zoom actually wants to cooperate. I've found that it tends to not work right when you need it to work. Okay, here we go. Success. All right, let me just open this up. And let me get into present mode. Fantastic. So first of all, again, welcome to the psychology department. We're really happy to see you all here. It's making me feel very nostalgic about coming in as a freshman. That felt like an eternity ago, but it was really, really exciting. And we're here to support you all throughout your journey here, answer any questions, point you to resources on campus that we don't necessarily work with, but we always want to make sure you all feel supported as students and as people. Always remember you're a human being before a student. And that's something, you know, myself and we as a team always want to focus on. So welcome everyone. I'm just going to proceed here. Oh, is it not going to do it? Okay. All right. So just kind of some overview here. Big surprise, psychology is one of the majors in the psych department. And psychology, we're really going to be looking at the human mind, human development. That could be from childhood all the way to adulthood. That can be functionalities, and that can be in a social context. A lot of the coursework we have here with psychology is broken into 3 kind of subfields and subgroups. And those include developmental psychology, cognitive psychology, and social psychology that I just mentioned. So you're really given the opportunity to take a wide breadth of different subdisciplines and really find your niche and what you think is the most interesting. Build relationships with those professors, like Ryan was talking about, and you know, just really find what you're the most passionate about in the psychology field. We also have the intensive psychology major, which isn't listed, but we'll talk about it in a second. All the requirements are the same, except there are a few additional requirements, and those entail research methods courses, as well as 2 quarters worth of either a field research, which can be out in the community, a field study, doing something, and then, you know, having some sort of research project associated with it. It can be working with a lab on campus and getting that experience. And it can be actually your own personal research project as well. This sets students up pretty well for graduate school if that's something you're interested in. But our general psychology students also pursue graduate school. And then finally, of course, cognitive science, which is a really, really cool major, just because of the interdisciplinary aspects of it. And that basically means that when we're looking at a form of study, we're looking at it from a wide breadth, and we're looking at it from a holistic perspective. And a lot of those thematic elements can include memory, perception, language, AI, artificial intelligence, which is super cool. The human mind, of course, and we're going to draw in different disciplines on campus as well. And this is why I love it, because my majors are really interdisciplinary. And this is psychology, of course, philosophy, anthropology, linguistics, computer science, and a bunch of others as well. All right, so here's our little roadmap. You can see our little graduation person down here, like, woohoo, you got your diploma. I remember it vividly walking the stage. I took a picture with Sammy the Slug, who's in the background of Ryan's Zoom right now. And it's the most amazing feeling. But we're right at the beginning, and there's a long way to go, but we're here for you all through and through. We're going to be talking about a few specific things today in regards to our department. So one of them being requirements to declare your major. And we also mentioned that general education. We'll get a little bit more into that. Requirements to declare, you're required to declare your major by the end of your 6th quarter, also known as the end of your 2nd year. And during that time, you'll only be taking lower division coursework for your major. Once you declare, you'll be able to take Psych 100, which is in the middle of this diagram. And that's kind of a foundational course and a prerequisite for a lot of your upper division coursework. If you've never heard of lower division versus upper division coursework, lower division is going to be anything with a number from 1 to 99. Upper division is going to be 100 to 199. So that's the difference. Again, those upper division requirements are a wide breadth of disciplines, and some of them can include those research and field study. And you don't have to be an intensive major to do that. You can choose to do that as a general psychology student as well. And then you have your senior seminar, which is kind of a capstone. You can kind of call it an exit requirement to earn your degree. And that's going to be a smaller, more intimate setting, having more deeper conversations with probably like max like 20 to 30 students in each seminar. And then woohoo, you can graduate, and it's going to be really exciting. And I know it seems like a far ways away, but it does fly. So enjoy every minute of it. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Julia to talk about our psychology bachelor's.
Thanks. So currently you all are proposed majors here at UCSC when you're entering, and you'll eventually need to officially declare by meeting our major qualification requirements. So for psychology, there are 3 requirements to declare your major, which are pre-calculus, Psych 1, and statistics. As you can see, each of these requirements can be satisfied through a few different ways. So for the math requirement, we strongly encourage that freshmen entering UCSC take the ALEX Math Placement exam. If you earn an ALEX Math Placement score of 300 or higher, you will actually test out of this math requirement. If you do that, you'll no longer need to take a pre-calculus course here. You can take the ALEX Math Placement test up to 3 times, and we encourage that you do so because students typically improve their score each time they take the test. If you do not meet the 300 or higher score on the ALEX Math Placement test, you can also take a pre-calculus course here at UCSC to satisfy this requirement. Also on the slide, as you can see, if you get an AP Calculus score of 3 or higher, you'll satisfy the math requirement as well. For Psych 1, that's a course here at UCSC. It's just an introduction to psychology. So that's a course required for all freshmen unless you score a 4 or higher on the AP Psychology exam. Then for statistics, it's very similar to pre-calculus in that there are several options and classes that can be used to satisfy this requirement. However, there's not a math placement exam score that can get you out of this requirement. But if you score a 4 or higher on AP statistics, you will test out of this statistics requirement. If you don't test out of some of these requirements and need to take courses here at UCSC to satisfy them, it's important to know that statistics and Psych 1, we both require a B- or higher in these courses in order to declare. And then for pre-calculus, you just need to get a C or higher in order to declare. If you do not meet these grade requirements, we strongly recommend that you reach out to one of us or a peer advisor to discuss next steps. And then we can go to the next slide. All right, so for cognitive science, the major declaration requirements are different than psychology. So they include calculus, programming, statistics, and Psych 20. Cognitive science students are expected to know a higher level of math than psychology students, so we do require calculus rather than pre-calculus. Because of this, you will need to satisfy it through AP. You can also satisfy it through AP exams, but you have to earn a slightly higher score. As a very interdisciplinary major, cognitive science students also are required to take a programming course, which can be satisfied through a few different classes here or a test out exam. And then the statistics requirement for cognitive science is essentially the same as for the psychology major. So you could take some of the same courses, or the AP test score 4 or higher will also test you out of this. And then for Psych 20, that's a course here at UCSC. It's an introduction to cognitive psychology, and you'll need to take that class as your 4th requirement. So for the grade requirement for cognitive science, in order to declare, you must earn a GPA of 2.8 or higher in these 4 courses. So that's about a B or a B- average. Go to the next slide. Okay, so once you do meet the requirements to declare, you can do so by following the major declaration instructions on our website. So the steps include submitting a Google form to request an academic plan from us, and then also submitting a petition to declare through My UCSC. All of you will need to declare by the deadline of your 6th quarter. As Paige said, this will be spring 2025 or the end of your 2nd year. And with that, we'll go into the majors and some of their other requirements. Next slide. Okay. There we go. Okay, so for the psychology major, we do have two concentrations that you have to choose between. We have the general and the intensive concentration. The intensive psychology concentration involves some additional coursework and research or internship experience, which is especially advantageous for students who might plan to attend a graduate program or are looking for a more hands-on experience. All psychology students will choose a concentration when you declare the major, but you can always change it later by reaching out to one of us. No matter which concentration you choose, you will overall be a psychology major, and it will say psychology Bachelor of Arts on your diploma. Where you'll see the concentration officially noted is on your transcripts. So outlined on this slide are the requirements for general and intensive psychology, in addition to those major qualification courses I just talked about. So the two other lower division courses that you will need to take in your first 2 years are Psych 10 and Psych 20. That's an Introduction to Developmental Psychology course and an Introduction to Cognitive Psychology course. As for your upper division courses in your remaining years as a junior and senior, you'll need to take Psych 100. This course is a course that you need to take before taking your other 6 required upper division psychology courses. One of your 6 upper division psychology courses also must be a senior seminar, which is a class, usually there's not as many students as like a lecture course, and you get into deeper conversations about specific topics. There's also one last upper division course that you'll need to take. It's at the very bottom of the slide. It's one approved upper division course from a department outside of the psychology department. So we have a link on the screen that you can view and see all the departments that we have approved. So for intensive psychology, all the requirements are the same as for general psychology, but with the addition of 3 courses. One of them is an advanced research methods course, which is that Psych 181 or Psych 182. And then you also have to do 2 quarters of an educational opportunity within our department. And I'll talk some more about those on the next slide. So these educational opportunities include participating in our field study program in research or in senior thesis. The field study program is a program that students can apply to get connected with different internship opportunities that provide some hands-on experience in areas related to psychology. Some examples of internship opportunities that we've seen students do in the past include being a mental health worker, a teacher's aide, or an advocate for survivors of abuse. And then for Psych 194, that's the research option, and it entails getting connected with a research lab opportunity on campus or working with a professor on their own research. Lastly, for the senior thesis, Psych 195, that takes research a little bit further, and it's an opportunity for you to conduct your own research with the guidance of a faculty member. Like Paige said earlier, any psychology or cognitive science student can participate in these educational opportunities, but 2 quarters are required for intensive psychology majors. More information about these educational opportunities are posted on our website, but you can also meet with one of us or a peer advisor to talk a little bit more about them and get connected. Next slide, please. Okay, so for cognitive science, the 4 courses that I mentioned as major declaration requirements are the only 4 specific lower division courses that you need to take for this major. After completing those in your first 2 years, similarly to psychology students, you'll need to take Psych 100 before you get into any of your other upper division psychology courses. So you're going to have a set of cognitive core course requirements that you'll need to take. There's 4 areas that you get to choose from. You have to choose 3 courses from 3 different areas out of that list. And then you'll have a little bit more flexibility When it comes to your cognitive psychology electives, there's a longer list of courses that you get to choose from. Like psychology, you'll also need a senior seminar. So one of your 3 upper division cognitive science electives should also be a senior seminar. And then as an interdisciplinary major, you'll also have a set of interdisciplinary electives that you'll have to take. There's 4 emphasis groups listed on the slide. So evolution, artificial intelligence, and human-computer interaction, linguistics, and philosophy. You'll have to choose one of these emphasis groups. 3 of the 4 interdisciplinary electives that you choose has to be from this emphasis group. In addition, one of your interdisciplinary electives should also be an upper division course. Since most of your interdisciplinary electives will likely be lower division, you can kind of start thinking about these now and even taking some in your first 2 years. Again, the list of all these major requirements can be found on our website, as well as the list of approved interdisciplinary electives. Next slide, please. Okay, so I've talked a few times about the senior seminar requirement. So to go into it a little bit more, this requirement is something that's tied to your general education requirements, specifically the DC or disciplinary communications requirement. It's important to note that in order to register for a senior seminar, it's a little bit different than registering for a regular course here. So in order to enroll for a senior seminar, students have to complete a senior seminar survey. We email these to qualifying students or who are in senior standing. So that means that they have 135 units or more. In the survey, students get to list their preferences for available seminars and will respond with a permission code that will allow you to enroll in the class. As incoming freshmen, you likely won't get the survey for a few years from now. So if any questions come up about it later on, definitely reach out to us. And also just keep in mind that this is not an additional upper division psychology course that you have to take. It is one of your required courses is also a senior seminar. Next slide, please.
Sorry for the crazy slide advancement. It's being like slow and then fast, so bear with us here.
All good. Okay, so as you take these courses that I've been talking about, you're going to want to be aware of the pass no pass policy for grading options. So we do require letter grades for the courses that you need to declare your major, but all of our other courses and major requirements can be taken as pass no pass. When you enroll in a class, it's automatically set up to be graded for a letter grade, but you can always opt to switch to a pass no pass option, which essentially means that if you earn a C or higher in the class, you'll receive a pass grade, and this grade does not affect your GPA. The deadline to change your letter grade option from letter grade to pass no pass is usually around the end of instruction, but before finals. So you have plenty of time throughout the quarter to make a decision on which grading option you want. It's very important to know that no more than 25% of your credits at UCSC can be taken pass no pass. So it is very important that you consider the courses and how many courses you're choosing to take as pass no pass. It's also something to consider if you're planning to apply to graduate school. And with that, I'll pass it to Ryan to talk a little bit about academic planning.
Okay, thank you, Julia. So I'm going to show you some academic plans here in a second. I just shared a link in the chat to our forms page where you can view these academic plan samples. You can also, when you open them up, you can make a copy of them and you can edit your own. You can't edit the masters, obviously, but you're welcome to make a copy and play with it. Academic plans lay out recommended classes you should be taking during your 4 years here to make progress towards finishing your major specifically. A sample of academic plans are available online as linked before. And you can take a look at your declaration requirements as well as the requirements you're going to need to complete your junior senior year after you're declared. Once you've completed your declaration process, you'll actually receive an official signed academic plan from us, and it'll be catered to wherever you happen to be at that particular time, and what transfer credit and things you might be bringing in. Let's go ahead and advance, and we'll look at one of these plans. So this is our general psychology major. Please note that things are broken down into quarters with various courses listed in each cell on this spreadsheet. Note that they don't actually reflect that reflect what you need to take in any particular order. They're just temporary placeholders. They can be taken whenever you like, in whatever order, with the exception of Psych 2, which is a very popular course to take for your statistics requirement, but it does require that you take Psych 1 and pass your pre-calculus course first. So if you do want to take Psych 2, plan to take Psych 1 and meet your pre-calculus requirement first. So as I mentioned, if you go to the sample plans that we have offered, you can't edit the plans, but you can make a copy and edit those. Don't consider any copy that you've made anything official. We will basically generate one for you, and that'll be your official plan. And that'll be one that we work on and edit and sign on your behalf. But you're welcome to, of course, to make a copy and plan ahead for yourself as well. As incoming first-year students, we recommend that you all focus on your first 2 years with your academic plan, and work on your lower division requirements, your GEs, and so on. These requirements are important as they make you eligible for declaration, and you will need to declare within your 6th quarter. So if you are still working on your requirements at that point, you will need to still file a declaration, a petition, but it's going to be held with conditions by us and your college advisors. So I would definitely plan ahead and get as much as you can done out of the way sooner than that. You can find these requirements on this plan. They're labeled NQ. Julia went over them in great detail, but once again, they're Psych 1, pre-calculus, and statistics. Once you get a B- in Psych 1 and stats and pass pre-calc or pass a test, you're good to go. And you know, I'll just send another reminder if you do plan to take Psych 2, know that that has the prerequisites of Psych 1 and pre-calc. You may notice that no major requirements are listed in the fall on this calendar. This is because you don't have to take your major requirements that early in order to keep up. You have 2 whole years to complete these 3 requirements, and there is plenty of time, plenty of other things that you need to be worried about, including your GEs. I guess there's one thing that we get a lot of emails about, which is like, what should I enroll in right now? And my answer is usually going to be whatever you need for your GEs. And that would be a discussion that you want to have with your major advisors. I should also add that a lot of these requirements that we have meet some of those GEs. So for, it might be worth prioritizing them for that reason, but at the same time, don't stress if you're not able to get into your major required courses right away. That being said, this August during your enrollment windows, we will be removing seats every day for Psych 1, or opening seats for Psych 1. This gives you a chance to, at the very least, compete with each other over seats. It's probably your best chance to get into the course early, as it's going to be very competitive for you at any other time. As freshmen, and even when you're a sophomore, you're kind of at the bottom of the totem pole in terms of enrollment, unless you have some kind of special enrollment privileges. The reason being, you're competing with juniors and seniors that are trying to meet requirements to graduate. You're going to really appreciate that when you're a junior or a senior, but for right now, it's going to be kind of hard and stressful. So I recommend taking advantage of the seats opening up for Psych 1 this fall, but also don't stress about it if you don't want to. If you have a math placement score of 100 and you continue to score 100 during your reassessments, you will not be able to enroll in a pre-calculus course right away. Know that you would need to plan ahead and plan for a course like Math 2, which is a prerequisite to Math 3. Take that in a quarter before you plan to take pre-calc Math 3. Similarly, the upper division courses that you are going to need to take your junior and senior year, namely Psych 100. has an entry-level writing requirement. And depending on where you place in terms of your writing eligibility, which is sort of between you and your college advisors, you may be able to just take Write 2 at any given point, or you may need to take Write 1 in advance to that. So plan ahead for that, figure out which one you need. In either case, you do need Write 2 be completed before you can enter our upper division courses. Let's go ahead and advance and look at the cognitive science slide. Thank you. Here's an academic plan for cognitive science majors. Once again, the plan is also available on our website. Incoming cognitive science students for the first 2 years should be focusing on taking classes like programming, Psych 20, a calculus course, and your statistics course. These are 4 courses. If you plan to take Psych 2, once again, you're going to need to take some prerequisites. In this case, Psych 20 counts instead of Psych 1, but you also still need the pre-calculus course. Lastly, as mentioned earlier, in order to be eligible to declare cognitive science, you need to meet the GPA requirement of 2.8 or higher, which is an average of a B/B- in the lower division courses. The sample plan does have a GPA calculator included in it. You're not going to be able to use it from the sample, but if you do make a copy of it and start inputting your own grades, you'll see where you stand as far as your GPA. If you have test scores, you can go ahead and put them in as well. It's not going to affect the GPA, but it'll get counted all the same on the sheet. Ultimately, if you have test scores and test out exams, we'll just do a GPA that reflects the remaining courses, and that still does need to be 2.8. As you may notice, no major requirements are listed in the first quarter on this plan, similar to psychology. And once again, that is because it's not 100% necessary for you to take it right away. All the same thing applies to you guys. In terms of Psych 1, we're going to be opening up seats during your enrollment window, so you guys compete with each other over that. If you want to take, in your case, Psych 20, I should say. I'm sorry, I said Psych 1. I meant Psych 20. If you want to take Psych 20 in the first quarter, those seats will be opening up for you, and you can enroll, hopefully. Otherwise, you're going to be competing with everybody else in the following quarters. If your math placement score is again 100 or and continues to be 100, know that you're going to need to take Math 2 and Math 3 and then your calculus course. So remember, this is a calculus requirement, not a pre-calculus requirement for cognitive science. So you're going to need to plan a couple quarters ahead if you're not meeting your placement scores. Okay. And yeah, similarly, if you score 200, you can qualify to take pre-calculus, but you still need to take that before you can take your calculus course. And I had a question yesterday, students who were scoring lower than 100, and honestly, the answer is going to be up to between you and your college advisor, because I'm not 100% sure where those lower scores place you. But again, it's going to be some kind of lower class, like an algebra course, and then moving your way up the ladder as far as that goes. Okay. Let's go ahead and move to the next slide and talk about summer session for a second. So talk about summer session when we talk about planning, because this is something that you could take advantage of and add to your plan. As you start to think about it, know that you will be able to take courses over the summer. Know that our department doesn't have many, if any, sometimes online, but we do offer plenty on campus, and they're usually the same. If you want to check out the current summer catalog, it'll give you an idea of the kind of courses we offer during the summer. They're mostly lower division, but there are some upper division courses you could take to meet requirements that you might need to catch up on or get ahead with. Okay. Summer session course lists do become available in December, so you can plan ahead if you check it out then. All right. Make accommodations for housing and things like that as well. Let's move on and talk about my UCSC and your degree progress reports. So to view your degree progress report, there's a little in your academic section, you'll see a drop-down menu that says other academic information. And within that, you'll see an option to review your degree progress report. Select that, hit go, and you can open up your degree progress report. Let's go ahead and look at my UCSC and what other options are available to you on your academics page. It is important for you to take note of the holds section. Make sure that there aren't any tasks on your to-do list as well. If there's anything that you haven't completed on your to-do list, it's probably going to give you a hold on your enrollment. So go through that to-do list as soon as you can. That includes everything from orientation requirements to medical requirements like your vaccines, and submission of transcripts and scores and things like that. In the case of freshmen, I think you're able to, there isn't necessarily a requirement for you to have your scores submitted, but it's still something that you might want to do sooner than later if you plan to enroll in qualifying courses. Let's see, another important area is your enrollment dates. So I mentioned a little bit later this month, or next month rather, August, you'll have a specified enrollment date. It's look one more time, and I believe it is specifically going to be August 14th through 18th. Okay, so you're going to be assigned one of those days, and you're going to have that whole day, but only that day, to enroll. So I would plan ahead, pull up your shopping cart with the courses that you're thinking about putting in, enrolling in, and be ready on your enrollment day, okay, to hit submit. And then finally, if you have any questions about enrollment, please reach out to your college advisors or us. In order to get your enrollment appointment date for upcoming fall, you must make sure to complete part 1 and 2 of the slug orientation. I mentioned that as part of the to-do list. And you have to have submitted your test scores and transcripts and so on and so forth. And I already said that. Okay, let's take a look at what the DPR looks like. So I mentioned how to find it again. Use the drop-down menu and select DPR. This is what it looks like. This sort of outlines for you all the requirements that you have left. It also closes up tabs for requirements you have met. It'll show you the areas in which you need to declare in our major, and it'll include test scores and things like that. If you have transfer credit or AP scores, and you might have to wait because you're just coming in for admissions to have it all processed. But if you're in a hurry for whatever reason and you have some sort of proof, you can share it with us, and we have the ability to update the DPR as well. And if for whatever reason, anytime down the line, whether it be later this year or 4 years from now, if there's something that's not reflected in the DPR that you know you've done, reach out to us, and there's strong likelihood that we can update it for you. And then let's take a look at some enrollment resources. All these are links, which you can't click on through Zoom, but know that this slide is going to be on our information page. Why don't I go ahead and find that and link it in the chat real quick. So it's easy. So on our Frosh information page, you'll see a copy of the slides that we're looking at now. And with that, you can click on all those links there that you see in front of you. A lot of these are school resources, and some of them are related to our resources that our department offers. Things like key dates, enrollment information, how to search for courses, details of how to enroll, and other details, particularly about our courses. Something that's nice to look at would be, for example, interdisciplinary electives if you're a cognitive science major, outside courses if you're a psychology or a general psychology major. And there's also a section that we highlight for freshmen that'll include courses, obviously, like Psych 1 or 20, your major requirements, and also Psych 10, which is going to be a requirement for general psych majors eventually, not to declare, but eventually. And I think that is my part of the presentation. I'll pass it back to Paige.
Awesome. Thanks, Ryan. And Julia as well. I know that was a lot of information to digest, but just know you all are at the very beginning. And just to reiterate, it's fairly typical for students to take almost all GEs during their first quarter, just because one of your courses is going to be your core course, which is mandatory, and that's associated with your residential college. And then that leaves 2 spots if you're planning on doing the typical full-time credit count. So both of those can be GEs. If you're able to do a major prep course, one of them can be that and another can be a GE. But no, you're not behind if you can't get into a major class your first quarter. I just want to emphasize that because that was an area of anxiety for me. And I like to tell this story because looking back on it now, it's funny, but I remember the stress that came with it. And I thought my trajectory was totally messed up. I came to orientation as a freshman with a notebook, with handwritten, I think I had like 8 or 9 backup schedules generated, that I had written down meticulously. None of them worked. None of the combinations worked. And I say this not to like scare you. I say this because here I am, I graduated 2021 and now I'm advising students. So it all works out in the end, and looking back now, it's funny, but I do remember the stress that came with that. So hopefully that story alleviates that a little bit, and just know that first quarter enrollment sometimes is it can be a little bit chaotic, and you may not get the classes you exactly want, but it gets easier as the quarters progress. So just to talk about a few additional resources, campus resources in particular, that are here to support you throughout your time here as a student and as a human being, kind of harkening back to that theme I was talking about earlier. McHenry Library, which is my favorite library on campus, is in the middle of the forest. So all you see are trees when you're studying, which is pretty cool. You can also reserve study rooms in advance. There's a cafe inside the library as well, with really awesome smoothies, rice bowls. You can grab something to eat while you're studying. Learning support services, very, very important resource we have available to students on campus, which encompasses all of our tutoring resources. Some of these include MSI, and that stands for Modified Supplemental Instruction, which is a really fancy name for other students tutoring other students. So these are students that have gotten a B or better in the course in the past, and their job, and this is a job opportunity for you all as well in the future if you're interested in, but they'll be tutoring students. Usually they'll introduce themselves at the beginning of the quarter. Like, I imagine there's probably one for like pre-calculus, for example. So they'll probably be like, hi, I'm the MSI tutor. And they'll have regular meetings with the professor to make sure they're up to date on the current material. And then there's free tutoring sessions hosted by that student at designated days of the week and times. So I encourage you to take advantage of that. I did that when I was taking statistics, and it was really helpful. Small group tutoring, you do have to sign up for in advance, also really great. Writing Center, super helpful. They will help you edit your papers, kind of learn what it looks like to write at a collegiate level, which is definitely a learning process. And yeah, so we've got McHenry, we've got learning support services, a lot of academic support here. Disability Resource Center, or the DRC, something that amazing resources that serves a lot of students, one of which was me when I was a student. I had accommodations through our DRC, and basically the main goal of the DRC is to try to level the academic playing field and provide accommodations for students with a variety of disabilities that can range from mental health disorders to behavioral disorders to physical disabilities. So kind of everything and in between. Some of these accommodations can include, for example, I had alternative testing spaces, extra testing time for mental health issues. I didn't think I needed them, but I was encouraged to get them secured in advance because I ended up needing to use them in one of my courses that caused me a lot of stress. And it's the only time I did use it, but I was really happy it was there. So if you're kind of contemplating like, yes, I qualify, but I don't think I need this, I highly encourage you to get them squared away and over the summer before you start, just because we have so many students that are served in the DRC. Sometimes it can take a while. So I encourage you to do a little more research on the DRC to see if that's something that makes sense for you. The EOP, or Educational Opportunity Program, is an amazing resource center here on campus. The EOP is generally for students that come from historically low socioeconomic backgrounds and underserved communities. And the students that are part of EOP here on campus, it comes with a variety of support services, including a textbook lending library for affordable textbook options, mentors throughout your time here. Other students work at the EOP and really try to develop a relationship with students that qualify. At this point, you should probably know if you're an EOP student or not. But if you have any questions about it, you can reach out to them. There's a lot of great people working over at the EOP. UCSC Basic Needs encapsulates a lot of different things. For just wellness overall, we have a variety of food pantries on campus where you can go get food for free. You can also volunteer at the food pantries. We have emergency housing services, health and wellness, and of course, financial security resources as well. And then we also have counseling and psychological services, or CAPS, here on campus. Very close to my heart. I utilize those resources. I'm pretty open about that. Basically, kind of our hub for mental health and wellness on campus. So we have licensed psychologists, psychiatrists. We have group therapy, group workshops for students that share similar identities. For example, at one point we had, I believe it was men of color or male identifying of color who were also gay. So we had really specific groups that would come together, and it was a really cool experience for them. We also have CAPS peer educators, which I had the privilege of being one of them. So that might be of interest to some of you that are studying psychology or even cognitive science. You get to conduct workshops on campus for students about test anxiety, suicide prevention, things like that. This little graphic here is actually right on our website. Basically, in a second, I'll talk about where exactly our office is located, because we will be there in the fall in person. The drop-in advising, we highly encourage you all to utilize. Julia will actually be hosting drop-in hours this afternoon from 1 to 4 p.m. And those will be virtual. So feel free to drop in and get any more questions answered. And then the appointments you'll do through Slug Success, and there's a walkthrough of how to do that on our website. And you're more than welcome to schedule a one-on-one appointment with one of us. And even though you haven't officially started, you all can schedule appointments with us. Awesome. So just some specifics here. So we are located in social sciences too, which you'll learn where that is eventually. But we're room 273. So come visit us. We're so happy and grateful that we're back and we can do in-person appointments. We're still doing virtual appointment options, but if you would like to meet with us in person, that's awesome. And we look forward to seeing you all there. This is the general email you all should use to contact us. One of us will respond to the email. If it's a regular chain with one person, that advisor will respond. But this is the email you should use. That's the website link. And then we also have our peer advisors that will be joining us in the fall. And these are fellow students who also are trained to do certain elements of advising by us in our office. And they actually have their own email as well, which is SciPeer. Right now, you should direct all of your emails to our general, just because our peer advisors aren't working over the summer. But they're going to be really helpful for you all when the fall quarter starts. All right, so these are just kind of some last minute tips. First and foremost, use your UCSC email. I say this like really loudly on purpose, just because it becomes an issue because students don't see messages when they're not checking their UCSC email. The university is not going to be sending you information to your Gmail like once you start classes here. The communication you get will only be through your UCSC email. Your professors will email you. Resource centers on campus will email you. If you're missing, vaccine documents, the health center will email you. So get in the habit of using that UCSC email. And you can even practice and get in the habit by asking questions and sending emails to us as well. But that's very, very important. So just get in the habit of saving your personal email for family, friends, and just paying attention to that UCSC email. We have our psychology newsletters, so check those out. Meet with an advisor, I think was the crux of what we were trying to get across here. So come meet with one of us. We're here to support you all. We have office hours. That's when our professors and TAs are like literally they're required to sit in a place a few times a week and answer student questions, and barely anybody ever shows up. My literature professors always told me they were super lonely. And they're going to be the ones that can answer your questions because they're the ones that are teaching the course. So definitely check that out. Go to class. I think we'll leave it at that. And then we do have our own Instagram and Facebook, if Facebook is still something you all use. I think I still have mine that I made when I was like 13. But we do have our Instagram that we're actively working on and creating posts for. So follow us there. And there's also a Google group as well. And lastly, new things coming. So welcome week, you all will be moving in a week before classes start on purpose. So it's not just like, okay, go to class and you've barely acclimated. We'll be doing a welcome week presentation for you all on September 26th from 9 a.m. to 9:50. This is going to be virtual, so we hope you all will join us then. The psychology faculty advising fair is still to be determined as to when it's going to be, but be on the lookout for that because this is a really great opportunity to meet instructors on campus, learn about what they're working on, and then you might recognize the fine people in the last image here. We will be doing a student experience panel on October 5th. I know this seems like a really long time from now, but it will come up pretty quickly from 10 to 11 in room 121 of social sciences too. And it will just be us talking about our experiences as alumni, and then our lead peer advisor, Savannah, will be joining us, who's a current intensive psychology student. And this will be in person, and there's also a Zoom option, but we encourage you all to join us if you can.